it's Brittany. Welcome back to my kitchen. So today I'm going to be doing something a little different. I'm not going to be cooking. I decided that it would be fun for me and hopefully for some of you out there to do just some cookbook reviews or some food book reviews. I do a lot of food reading, and especially in Taiwan because I don't really, I don't have access to some of the cooking shows back home or, some of the food trends, because I do find food trends really interesting back home. So, reading about food is something that I just absolutely love to do, and I've been doing it for years. And really, I kind of believe that that's how I learned how to cook. I started to learn how to cook from my grandma and my mother, but in terms of, the technicalities of cooking and some of the scientific aspects of cooking, I really didn't have a clue about until I started reading. I would read recipes, I started with, and to be honest, I don't really follow recipes a lot. I read them for fun. I don't know why. I think it's really interesting to read recipes, and I usually learn something. I learn about flavor combinations and just different techniques and just sort of some things that wouldn't necessarily be common sense about cooking. So I just want to go through some books with you. I don't really have all of my books here, but I did try to take the ones that I really love, or just ones that I haven't read at all, and then I could tell you, I didn't read them back at home, and now I've read them here, so I can talk about them a little bit. So yeah, I only have really like 5 or 6 food-related books here, but I wanted to go through them with you because I don't know if anyone is out there like me that loves to read about food but doesn't necessarily follow the recipes, or just has some opinions in mind or anything like that. So let's just get into it. I'll stop rambling. So this is a food-related book. It's not a cookbook. This is In Defense of Food by Michael Pollan. I love Michael Pollan so much. He's written quite a few books. Probably his most famous is The Omnivore's Dilemma, which I've also read. Botany of Desire, which I've also read. This was the one that I hadn't read, and I read it recently, and I just absolutely loved it. It's sort of, I wouldn't say it goes against the whole nutritionist fad and the diet fads or anything like that, because I don't think it does, but I think he just sort of puts eating into perspective for people of like, why it's kind of not necessary to follow the fads of, what's the Super 8 food this month, fatty acids in them, or, what is like the nutritionist telling you to do, because it's not necessarily always true. And this book kind of explains that there's really no proof that one component in food, whether it be really, really healthy, is going to, boost your immune system or make you more healthy or make you lose weight. Scientists and nutritionists and people who study food have really found that they don't know. It seems that there's no separate components of what's going to make you healthy. It's really if you have a range of food. I don't know how to explain it, but this is a really great book, and it puts eating into perspective for myself, definitely. The next book I want to go through is Lydia's Family Table. I have another book by her also. This is Lydia Bastianich. She has a show on public access in New York, and also on this channel called Create that we have in New York. And it's called Lydia's Italy, and I've been watching Lydia since she's been on TV. She's my favorite chef. I just absolutely love her cooking. She does a lot of Italian-style peasant food. She's from Italy, and just everything she does is so rustic, and it's so down to earth, and there's nothing pretentious about her food. It's just really honest, good food, and every time she cooks, it just looks so delicious. And that's what I wish I could do, you know? It's like every time she cooks something, my mouth is watering. Just, it doesn't matter if it's a vegetable or if it's something cheesy or something meaty, it's just, it looks amazing. And her personality is wonderful, and she just, you know, she, like, you want her to be your grandma. She's just lovely. And she lives in Queens, and every time my boyfriend and I, we drive on the LIE into Queens, and we always pretend that we're like driving past Lydia's house, and we'll be like, "Where's Lydia?" I went to her book signing actually in Long Island, and I thought no one would know who she was, and then I get there, and there's a line wrapped around the parking lot, and Dominic and I, we tried to wait like an hour, and it was like the line was not moving, so then we were like, oh, forget it. But anyway, Lydia Bastianich, she's amazing. And I've been to a few of her restaurants, and they've been great. Another book that I want to go to, actually, I don't know if this book is out of print. I don't know what the deal is with this book, and I'll explain to you why I like it so much. I found this book in North Carolina, in Asheville, at a like really cool used bookstore. And it's called Season to Taste, and it's by Jeanette Ferrari and Louise Fisher. And it's Herbs and Spices in American Cooking. This book is so interesting to me. To be honest, I've followed maybe one or two of the recipes, and it hasn't come out great. So in terms of following recipes, for me, I don't know how useful it is. But what's so cool about this book is it goes by herbs and spices, okay? So like right here is chives, for example. And what they do is, you know, I hope you can see this. They start it with chives, and they show the picture of it, and they tell you about the history of chives in America, how chives came to be in America, what area in America that they were prominent. And then here they talk about like what recipes in America made chives famous. So for example, signature dish, baked potatoes with sour cream and chives, or green goddess dressing. And I also love the illustrations. I just think that they're really pretty. Let me take the cover off. And then the next thing that I love, and it's probably my favorite, is they give you a vintage recipe, and they're kind of ridiculous vintage recipes. Like one of them was to like literally feed an army. And so like, for example, there's this one, Sister Abigail's Blue Chive Omelet. Okay, so she's probably talking about the shakers here. I know she puts a lot of like shaker recipes in here, which I also find really interesting. And shaker recipes are really, really very good. So this is like a vintage recipe, and then they'll just get into it, and they'll say like, you know, what they're going to be making with it, almost like a menu. And then it's really cool because in the back, there's another thing I love about this book. In the back, they give you some suggested seasonal menus. So for example, they'll do spring, and they'll like name the menu. So like sloop salad supper, chicken and carrot thread salad, Greek salad pita sandwich, corn cress and potato salad, ricotta rice muffins. So anyway, this book is just genuinely interesting for me to read. I like reading about the history of spices and herbs. So this is a great book. A lot of fun. The next book I want to show you, and I'm sure that, you know, whoever is really, really into cooking probably has this book. Fannie Farmer. I don't know what edition you have because, you know, they put out a new edition of Fannie Farmer pretty often. Fannie Farmer Cookbook by Marion Cunningham. She's really, really famous. This is just like straight up American food, but good American food. And, you know, the recipes are really simple, and some of them you can tell that they're like from the 50s because they'll be like can this, or, you know, you could just sort of see like what was popular back then, like chicken or turkey hash. Like I know that hash was a pretty popular dish in like the 40s and 50s. So it's just a lot of fun for me to read. I haven't really actually made a recipe from here, but I enjoy reading it. And of course, I'm sure you knew I was going to show you this. Mastering the Art of French Cooking by Julia Childs, Simone Beck, Louise Bertol. You know, it's a famous cookbook. I have followed recipes in here to a T, and it has come out absolutely amazing, which is what I love about Julia. You know, she had a way of like breaking down sort of the technicalities of French cooking, but making it a little less scary, because, you know, I think if you grow up doing French cooking, it's not so intimidating for you and it becomes second nature or intuitive. But as an American cook, it's a little scary. So she just had a way of breaking this down very precisely, and also sort of adapting the recipes for ingredients that we can find in America. You know, this was back in the 50s, of course, or 40s. I'm not really sure. Great book. I think that anyone who's interested in cooking or wants to start cooking, this is a great book to have, because with French cooking, I think that even if you're not into French cuisine, you should maybe learn a little bit about French cooking, because it can really help you with, you know, your cooking endeavors. Just learning about the technicalities of cooking. This is a good book to have. And last, I love this book. I bought this book for my boyfriend, actually, for his birthday one year. My boyfriend's really into baking. He's very good at it. I find baking intimidating. You won't see me often on my channel baking sweets. I might once in a while. I can't promise you, though. I kind of like watch people who bake. It's just very awe-inspiring and a little intimidating for me because of the whole measurement thing. I'm still getting used to measurements on YouTube because, to be honest, like, I never measure, ever. But I know that if I want to be recording these recipes and having them and putting them out there, I have to measure, right? And I have to test them. You know, most of my recipes I test beforehand and I see if it's actually worthwhile putting on YouTube. And I have had it where I've just recorded something and it came out not the way I wanted, and then I just didn't post the video. So I won't post a video unless I really, you know, think that the recipe is worthwhile. So this book is called Paris Sweets, Great Desserts from the City's Best Pastry Shops by Dory Greenspan. Dory Greenspan is a food writer. She's amazing. She has written many books. She lives in Paris, or maybe she lives in the States now. I'm not sure. Here's a picture of her. She's wonderful. I really love her writing. It's, you know, it's very cute and whimsical. And she went around Paris going to her favorite pastry shops, you know, for their like one signature thing that she really loved, and she got the recipes for them. Or she maybe tried to figure out the recipes on her own. So, you know, for each recipe, she gives you some history about the place that it's from, and, you know, how it came to be, and she gives you a little history of the actual recipe. So, like, here's an example, chocolate pound cake. And then she talks about where it's from, adapted from Boulangerie Patisserie Pougeron. Don't make fun of me, I don't know how to speak French. And here's the recipe, and really, it's really easy to follow, and everything that Dominic and I have made in this book has come out really good. And I think that the recipes in here are just so delicious. But anyway, so yeah, Paris Sweets. This is a wonderful book to have if you're into baking, and it's pretty easy to follow. All right, so I'd like to maybe hear about books that you enjoy reading about, or you can, you know, give me any opinions on any of the books that I've read if you've read them as well, or if you have any suggestions for more books for me to read. It could be a recipe book, or it could be just a food book in general. Please let me know. And anyway, if you sat through this for this long and watched me, then congratulations. And I hope that this wasn't really, really boring. I just figured there has to be some other food dorks out there that like to read about food. So anyway, I hope you have a good day, and goodbye.